screenings for kids. We want periodic age groups at which children should be checked. We want vouchers that are available for kids to get eye exams, and we can provide many of those things through the 52 different agencies that are part of our Georgia Children's Vision Task Force created by these funds available from MCHV. So I'm pleased that we have an opportunity to deliver those services in our state, and we want you to know that whenever you have a question about children's vision or vision from adults, we are available to help you. We're plugged into all of the agencies and all the folks that are providing those services. And whenever questions come up, we want to be your resource, and we're happy to connect you with the right folks to answer your questions. We're not here asking for money because we know there's not any, but we're here to tell you that we're providing services with donated funds and through funds that are given by the general public, by foundations, by corporations and special events that help can make sure that we can get the most services to folks in Georgia without having to rely on government money. If you need more information about Prevent Blindness Georgia or any of the services that we're providing, I hope you'll call on us, and I thank you very much for this opportunity. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much for the presentation. Any questions from members of the committee?
Thank you very much.
If you would be kind enough to let us know, where's your office located? Talk a little about your staffing. How many do you employ?
We have 15 vision screeners around the state who do the screenings for the 34,000 kids. And our staff in Atlanta of 8 does our work in public education, training, fundraising, and administration. Our offices now are with the Center for the Visually Impaired at West Peachtree and 4th Street, and it has been an incredible collaboration. We moved in together about a year ago, and we're able to serve people right on site at a clinic in the building that didn't have to be built and didn't have to be staffed, that we can now use and share with them. We have cut our costs by 35% in terms of our occupancy costs, while we provided a revenue stream for them. And the opportunities for us to collaborate and work together have been incredible. Our two agencies have also created the Georgia Vision Collaborative that encompasses vision organizations for adults as well.
Very good.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. No other questions. We appreciate the presentation. All right, very good. Next, we're going to call on Senate Bill 100, Senator Seabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I believe that this is the first time I've had the honor of coming before this committee, so
feels good, doesn't it?
It does. I don't know if you have a freshman type hazing that you do for the first time show up.
Yeah, we're going to show you that in just a second.
Okay, that might be the. But I would also, very nice to have the little television thing. I would warn you, though, that I have a face for radio, so, you know. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I appreciate the opportunity to come today. We had a situation 2 years ago that occurred where we changed the legislation with regard to who could set for the nursing exam and dealt with putting in standards for accredited schools. And in doing that, we inadvertently excluded a certain school that has, from a history standpoint, provided very good students and have done a very good job here in Georgia. And with that legislation that we put in, we became the only state in the nation that prevented these students from sitting from the exam here in Georgia. And so what Senate Bill 100 is trying to do to correct this is a situation is that there are schools that have certain different paths that they want to choose in their colleges and may not, for religious reasons or other reasons, may not go and become accredited. And what Senate Bill 100 would do would allow the board to evaluate these institutions and to see if their curriculum met the requirements of what it is that we're looking for in our students to set for this exam, and whether or not that institution would qualify, and then the board would be able to approve that institution and let those students to set for the exam. The simple truth, that is what this legislation simply does, Mr. Chairman. And I'll be more than happy to answer or try to attempt to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Questions from members of the committee? Representative Kidd.
The one school that I know is Pensacola College, and I'm not as familiar with the plan you're talking about, but again, this gives the board the discretion on these institutions of whether or not these students will qualify to sit for the exam. So they will make that determination of that school of whether or not they will. These students are doing their clinical works. They're doing the requirements that's necessary as many other institutions for those individuals who sit for that nursing exam. It's just that they have not gone through a process of becoming accredited, and they have religious reasons for why they do not want to do that. Pardon? Yes, yes, sir. That's correct. That's correct. But it's been a very fine established school. These students for years have sat for the exam here in Georgia, and they've had very good students. They have performed very well, and we're the only state that does not allow these students at this point in time to sit for the exam. And with the situation we've got with the nursing shortage, we have an opportunity to have good students that would come here and work in Georgia. I think we do not want to deny ourselves the opportunity to have them here and working in Georgia.
Thank you, Representative Kidd. Representative Chairman Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To my classmate, legislative classmate.
You remember that?
Yes. Well, we were paid in Confederate script that first year. It was so long. This just affects the Pensacola school, correct? Not
No, it does not necessarily. There may be other institutions that may be aware, but again, the board will have the discretion of looking at those schools. Should there be another school that in the future that would like to petition the board to be able to do that, the board would have that discretion to make the determination. The requirement that we put in the legislation, though, is that the curriculum of that school cannot be less than what we have by the accredited standards.
So, Mr. Chairman, sir, that means that the legislation that we passed out of here recently regarding hours required for nursing, would this affect that in any way?
It's my understanding it would not.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Harden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, you have cleared this with the Board of Nursing, and they are willing to accept this responsibility
Yes,
for
sir.
their...
As a matter of fact, last year when it was discovered that we had inadvertently excluded this school, there was an enormous effort that was made on behalf of a lot of individuals, the board and the Secretary of State, in trying to see if there was a way we could deal with it through rules and regulations to allow them to set. Mm-hmm. And the determination was that we really need to have a change in the law.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Jurgensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator, for bringing this. As you know, I carried the same bill in the House and got lost in crossover day, so I certainly appreciate you bringing this forward. And to answer some of the questions that have been brought up by certain committee members, the reason that some of these schools like Pensacola Christian, it's my understanding possibly Bob Jones University, they want to be able to act independently, and that's why they have not sought accreditation, because of certain religious beliefs that they might help hold. And these schools are have a stringent curriculum with a clinical setting for their nursing program, and I think that answers your question, Chairman. And I certainly would encourage the committee to vote yes for this.
Thank you, Representative Jurgensen. Who's number 14?
Mosby Howard. Representative Mosby Howard.
Representative Mosby, a fine-looking sign there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a matter of fact, thank you for recognizing me, and if there's anything I can do for you.
You have a bill today or something you need
I
passing?
don't have anything today. No, I was just going to say at the appropriate time, sir.
Oh. All right, thank you. Representative Watson.
Just a follow-up question. Thank you for bringing this. But let me just be clear. The bill that we passed out here last week was relating to Excelsior in New York. This is in no way and fashion related to that institution at all.
It is in no way in relationship to that institution at all.
Thank you.
And I got one more lit up down there. Who I got? I think that's perpetually lit. Representative Mosby, the sheer articulation of which you made a statement moments ago causes me to call on you at this point.
Mr. Chairman, I really do appreciate it, and right now I would move do pass on Senate Bill 100. Sir.
Got a motion. Do I hear a second? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, members of the committee. And if there's anything that I can do to help any of you in the Senate, don't hesitate to.
Listen, everybody write that down. We got a few days to go. You better remember that one.
I wanted to keep that shit as long as I could, but thank you very much.
Are you on rules?
Yes, sir, I am.
There we go.
I think I'm about number 6 or 7 in seniority on rules.
Hurry. Yeah. Got some people want to sign up with you now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great presentation. Did he say something about freshman presentations? Senator Seabaugh, did you say something about a freshman presentation earlier?
What I was saying is this was the very first time that I had the opportunity to come before this committee, and I know that when we have freshman legislators that we have a certain tradition of hazing them when they're in the well for their very first bill before the chambers, and so I recognize
that's unfortunate.
I would could be subject to that, and was more than happy to enjoy that.
Yeah, you stick around, you'll enjoy some more. We got a freshman that wants to present his first bill, y'all. What's your name?
Jason Spencer from the 180th District.
No, he's not a page, Mr. Chairman. Representative, what is it again? Spencer has got an outstanding bill that I don't know if you'll have it in your packet or not, but he kind of needed to be able to practice a little bit, and so he's going to talk to us a little bit about his bill. Tell us the number and what the reason you brought it to us and why you think it really should pass.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring you a substitute to House Bill 408, and this bill is building on the bill that required AEDs, that is automated external defibrillators, in high schools that have athletic programs back in 2008. I believe that was House Bill 1031. So the intent of this bill is to require AEDs in all public schools in Georgia. So that is the intent of this legislation. Also, on line 8 of the substitute, this bill would require an amendment to rename the act the Andrew Cone AED Act. Andrew Cone was a 15-year-old boy from Camden County who died from a blunt trauma to the heart during a baseball game, and this caused a deadly arrhythmia or condition called commotio cordis. At that time, at the park where he was at, the park did not have an AED on site, and it was most likely would have been a life-saving thing to have for Andrew if that was available to him. So that's what inspired this legislation, because you may have also heard recently in the news that a Michigan basketball player, I think he was 15-year-old, he actually died after making the winning shot at his basketball game, and he died of sudden cardiac death. It's questionable. I think the media reports state that the school may have not had an AED on site. But these things are becoming more and more, if you mind holding that up for me, Stuart, are becoming more and more ubiquitous in society. These things work. These things work. They have been proven to work, and they're kind of like having a fire hydrant around in a building. You want one around when the emergency goes off, because the quicker you can act to control a problem, you can save a life, and you can save someone from tragedy and a family from tragedy. So that is the intent and the inspiration for this legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Spencer, as you and I discussed, I'm very appreciative of this. Mr. Chairman, you remember, because you were a co-sponsor when we did 1031 with Chairman Hembry some years ago. It was inspired by Dr. Sam Shatton, who unfortunately has passed away of cancer, but was saved by 3 other physicians. And as he knew he was going to die, as the months went on, he made this his goal, and this improves upon Sam's legacy, and we appreciate it. And if I may, Mr. Chairman, the thing is, these AEDs, we have had literally hundreds of saves since that bill passed, and we call them saves. But they're not only for the students. We have so many parents, grandparents, and other spectators at these events, and this really improves 1031, and I thank you for improving it for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Wilkinson. Thank you so much, Chairman Wilkinson. Who do we have over here? Representative Harden?
Thank you, Mr.
What number? What number?
He got it. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative Spencer. This is a good bill, and it's a bill that will save lives. I just was looking now. The appropriations will come from the General Assembly, and it's for every school system in the state. That does not include private schools, or does it?
It's only for public schools only.
Only for public schools.
Right.
And do you have an estimated cost?
I have supplied the chairman with a fiscal analysis from the Department of Community Affairs. In their analysis, I seem to think the numbers are a little bit inflated. I think they're working off of some inaccurate data that was provided for House Bill 1031. They basically assumed that the number of public schools without AEDs is 1,846 schools. I think that number is too inflated. I'm working with the SAVE program for the Children's Atlanta, and they tell me that they are working on a new survey now to get up-to-date numbers on this, and they're surveying the school nurses at these schools. And this survey was given to superintendents back in whenever this survey was done back in 2008, and the nurse that's in charge of the survey states that they're always not maybe the best people to ask to get an accurate survey. So that survey is ongoing at this point, and right now it is projected, according to SAVE, that there's anywhere from 500 to 750 school systems that do not have an AED, because a lot of them have been donated to school systems for this project's mission.
Okay, and the average cost of...
The average cost of an AED today is about $1,600, which is, about the cost of a, computer for a school.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. It's a great bill, and I'm sure we'll be able to find the funding.
Thank you, Representative Harden. Representative Thomas Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Spencer, one of my questions was asked, which is the cost of the AED, but also just curious why you didn't include all public buildings and why just the focus on schools.
Well, cost is a consideration. My focus was to build on the current legislation that we have. In these budgetary times, we do have to take those things in consideration. That may be at some point where that happens. Just like I said, these things are kind of like a fire hydrant, and you kind of have to look at that as a possibility maybe in the future. But with these current economic times, I think the request would be reasonable to ask for public schools right now to be limited to that. So just trying to be mindful of the fiscal situation we're in.
And I commend you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Representative Chokas, my friend from Southwest Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Spencer, is this your first bill?
It is I have had 2 local bills I've submitted, but technically this is my first bill. Yes.
Gotcha. All right, so you're in the freshman class with Representative Clark, and Representative Clark did a really thorough presentation when he came in with the EpiPens. I don't know if you were here. He did an excellent job, and he actually did a demonstration on how that was supposed to be accomplished. And I was wondering if you could share to the committee and the audience a demonstration on what
You're going to find out we don't have hearts. We'll run them out of order, Mr.
Yeah, well, I don't. The chairman doesn't much acknowledge the laughter of the audience because they know we have hearts, and y'all need to be nice out there.
Well, I can give you a pseudo demonstration,
Yeah,
but
that would be great.
to put any the pads on anybody here might be a little bit cause a concern at this point. But Stuart Sullivan, do you mind coming to the table here and using your AED and just to kind of give a flavor of what these things do?
Representative Chokers, you want to volunteer for that?
Wouldn't hurt me.
Thank you for listening to us today. The AED itself, this particular device, is a fully automatic version. There's no buttons on it. Once you recognize the person, the victim is in cardiac arrest, all you have to do is open up the device. It turns on automatically, and then it'll start talking to you here.
Stay calm.
It'll tell you
Follow
stay
these
calm.
voice instructions. Make sure 911 is on.
And then it'll start to tell you step by step what to do from there. These devices only shock 2 heart rhythms. Since it's fully automatic, there's no buttons on it, nothing that you can do wrong. You can't provide an accidental shock to anybody. You put the pads on somebody, stand back, let it do its job. It will not provide. It'll do 2 heart rhythms, ventricular fibrillation, and pulseless ventricular tachycardia. It's the only thing it'll shock. You're sitting here now. I hook it up to you. It's not going to do anything to you. They are. I work for fire department in Cameron County. They're fireman proof.
Thank you for the demonstration.
If we can do it, anybody in school can do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Jurgensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative. Was it Spencer? Was that correct?
Spencer, right,
Spencer.
like the TV show, Spencer for Hire.
Thank you. I'm really impressed with the quality of your presentation today. I think that it was superior, and certainly you had some wonderful tutelage from another representative. Who was your mentor this year?
Mr. or Representative Ed Renders and Reinders, excuse me.
I'll entertain a motion due table. I don't think that bill's going anywhere. Who is that?
Well,
great job, Representative Spicer. Oh my, just cut me to the bone. Anybody got any other unfriendly questions with the author of the bill? You may, because you pronounced it correctly. Number 23.
Representative Spencer, on the other side of the coin, we lost a football player after using the device, but my point is, if we did not have that, we could not have lived with ourselves. We did everything we could, and this helped us to do everything we could. I can't imagine us not having this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I would just like to say that this technology is raising the standard of care in society, and as time goes on and as this technology gets better and these become more portable and more accessible, society is going to expect these things to be there. So this is something that we have to think about when we keep our children in school for 8 hours a day and provide a constitutionally mandated service. So this is something I think we need to consider as a state to make sure our kids have that available to them. Not only the kids, but teachers in the school systems, older people, because it saves them too.
Representative Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have my question was actually answered earlier, but I just wanted on the record that when this bill was introduced, I did get a call from my local Board of Education inquiring about it. We are totally in support of it, and they feel likewise to what all of the comments that we've heard. The concern was about the funding piece, and I see that looks even in tough times, we're asking our boards to, do more with less, but the state has stepped up to the plate, and I think that's commendable for us to do that. And thank you for the bill.
Thank you.
Right, Representative Dobbs.
Chairman, I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the presentation, but seeing the demonstration and seeing it talk to you, does the AED also provide continuous instructions on how to do CPR once you've actually
Well, it will. The AED will prompt you if it sees if the pads are placed on the chest, and if it sees it or recognizes a shockable rhythm, it will notify the person operating the AED that it will rhythm is shockable. Please stand back, and it kind of guides the person through that. It doesn't. I don't believe it instructs them on CPR, but
this actual device and all the AEDs now also have what they call rescue ready training, which provides CPR training and CPR instruction to the new standards that have just come out for CPR. They've recently changed, and it tells you stay calm and step by step to put the pads on, stand back, provide a shock, and then if they don't have a pulser, it tells you again chest compressions 30 times. And it counts to 30 for you. You just follow step by step.
yeah. So these things are changing all the time. So that's good.
The entire device itself does everything with the exception of the chest compressions, which is what these are for.
So if one of the 3 people that are required to be in the school with CPR, that are CPR trained, are not available, someone else could step in and follow the machine and actually try to do CPR.
These are found in airports and malls all over the place because they're so easy to use. We did a study with this a group of second graders. We showed them one time how to use it, and we said, all right, your turn, go ahead and do it, and they could do it. We had 9 to 10-year-old Boy Scouts about a month ago save their scout leader in South Florida, 2 weeks after being CPR and AED certified, save their scout leader on a rafting trip with those 9 to 10-year-old kids. So they're easy to use. There's nothing that can go wrong.
Thank you so much, Representative Kidd.
Yeah, the one that yes, because I made a misspelling. That is LC285613ERS. So the change that's made on it was line 8. It was a misspelling of the name. I had that corrected, and then we're probably going to have to change line 21, the date, because obviously we run out of time for.
Right. We were just going to let the gentleman freshman have the experience of coming in front of committee, and there's other important reasons, but I thank you for the question. And I also thank you so much, Representative Spencer. I also, as Madam Chair returns and does a great job, it's obvious to anybody in the audience that looks at Representative Chokas and myself know that in Southwest Georgia, we got a good-looking group of people. And with that said, I'd like to acknowledge a constituent of mine, Miss Carly Mathis. Please stand. Miss Mathis is a constituent of mine, and we're going to register her to vote as soon as we can. And but she's going to be in the Miss Georgia pageant, and her platform is heart health, and we thought this was an appropriate tie-in. So welcome. My lifting is done. Welcome back.
Representative, I hope that the committee was not too bad to you while I was gone, and that you and got helpful suggestions to work on your bill over the summer. Thank you very much for coming and presenting it and being concerned for children's health.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you to my vice chair, who's off to another meeting. This is the time of year, if anybody doesn't know, we get really busy with all sorts of bills. Do we have senators here? Senator Seabaugh? He's presented and gone? Okay. What about Senator Carter? Huh? Yeah, that's Buddy Carter that left the House. Oh, there's Senator Carter.
Good.
A former House member and the Secretary of the Committee. Okay, you're ready on House Bill 81. Senator Carter?
Senate Bill 81.
Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I bring before you today Senate Bill 81. This is simply a bill that was requested by the Secretary of State's office, and I think their request came from the Board of Pharmacy. But it would give the Board of Pharmacy the right, with reasonable grounds, to require a pharmacy technician or a pharmacist or an application for one of those positions to undergo a mental or a physical exam. Currently, pharmacy is one of the few, if not the only, allied health fields in the state that does not require this. It's required for dentists, for veterinarians, for doctors, and as I say, for all other allied health fields, but it's not required for pharmacists. And arguably, this would be the one area that would need it the most. If we've got an impaired pharmacist, we need to know that. And it's granted we're an at-will state, and a pharmacy can just let them go, but they're still a pharmacist. They still have their license, and the Board of Pharmacy needs to know this and needs to have this ability. Currently, the only ability they have is through a disciplinary action. So they have to wait until something is wrong before they can order a mental or a physical evaluation. And before Representative Chokas has the ability or the desire to ask me to demonstrate this by undergoing a mental examination, I will tell you that I'm not interested in doing that. So
I was going to ask if it was retroactive to pharmacists that already had their license.
Right.
But I'll let that go. Senate.
But if I could call your attention to the bill, and I'm working off of LC 36-1846S, and then in parentheses SCS.
You got it.
Good. If you look on page 2 on line 34, this is the same language that's used in the other health fields. Same language, obviously with the changes for the profession, but the same language is used for the dentist and for the doctors and everybody else. This, starting on line 34 on page 2, this is for the pharmacy technicians. If you turn the page to page 3, starting on line 82, again the same language, but this is a different code section, so this pertains to the pharmacists. There's one other thing I'd like to call to your attention, and that begins on page 4 on line 109, and that's really just for the benefit of the licensee, and simply says that after this information is given to the Board of Pharmacy, that it's no longer available to anyone else. So it's not like we want to keep this information and have it available for other people to look at. We do offer protection for the licensee as well.
Questions for the Senator? Okay. Oh, Representative Morgan. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Hey, Senator. And thank you, Madam Chair. You might have said this, but I missed it with all of the comedy going on. I'm sorry. Under what grounds would the board want someone to submit to an exam?
There would have to be grounds for this. The board would have to have the authority to do this. They can't just do it randomly. They would have to have good reason to do this, and there are situations where they have that. The legislation, I believe, actually does describe the grounds that they would have to operate under in order to get this. And if I can get my glasses on.
I think it's on line 34. Well, that's for the text.
Reasonable grounds, I'm told.
So as a practical matter, could you tell me what those reasonable grounds could be?
I'm going to call up the Secretary of State and his office.
If that's all right. A reasonable ground would be a complaint in which the board believes that there is evidence to look into further, whether it's dementia for an elderly pharmacist, for example, or complaints against drug abuse, for example. Excuse me, I just ran up 4 flights of stairs.
Welcome to the Health Committee.
Just a minute. You're making me feel a whole lot better because I'm a lot older than you, and I think I do the stairs better.
That's probably true. But it would have to be reasonable grounds. The board obviously will take this authority very seriously. It is a measure that other boards have, especially in the health committee or health boards, and so it would be reasonable.
Thank you.
Okay. Representative Watson?
Just to follow up on that question, I think if you look on page 3 under section 2, line 75, it talks about becoming unfit or incompetent to practice pharmacy, intemperance, the use of alcoholic beverages, narcotics, and abnormal physical or mental conditions threaten safety. I mean, I think that's previously outlined and is, I would presume, is standard for physicians, pharmacists, and dentists and so forth.
Yeah.
Further questions? Who they got? Who's got their light on down here? Representative Henson.
Thank you. I just wanted a clarification on what Representative Morgan asked. Age is not going to be one of the reasons for becoming unfit or incompetent, is it?
No, it is not. There would have to be demonstrable actions on the part that have been reported that the board would have to investigate that.
And this exam is not for all people practicing pharmacy. It's only if there's reason.
That's
or
right.
is it for everyone who's applying for a license as a pharmacist?
No, no, it's only for reason.
Okay, thank you.
We've got Representative Harden.
Yeah, Madam Chair, at the right time, I'd like to be recognized for a motion.
Well, Representative Wilkerson has he beat you to it.
Okay,
so
fine.
Representative Wilkerson, you can second. Let Buddy do it. Okay, you can do it. Let's have a fight over who's going to do this. Go ahead, Representative Harden.
I'd move do pass Senate Bill 81, LC 36-18465, SCS.
Okay, we have a due pass and a second. Okay, we have due pass and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing no further discussion, everyone in favor of Senate Bill 81, say aye. Anyone opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Which one got? Okay, Senate Bill. Okay. Oh, there you are. You made it. Okay. Senator Grant, we're ready for you. House Senate Bill 178. And cheering and clapping and everything is available when we get through with this.
I thought that violated decorum rules in the House.
I don't care on this one after 16 years.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to present Senate Bill 178 to you today. Senate Bill 178 seeks to establish a new type of long-term care facility called an assisted living community, which would fill the gap between personal care homes and nursing homes and allow residents to remain in place longer. It does this in primarily two ways. First, an assisted living community would be allowed to hire specialized staff who could administer medications directly to residents, and that's the certified medication aides. And secondly, for residents who lose the ability to get around on their own, the bill would allow them to stay in an assisted living community as long as it could be shown that it is safe, and that's the area that we call assisted self-preservation. I think most of the members of this committee are as familiar with this bill as I am, or at least the subject matter for this bill, and I'll be happy to go through any parts of the bill and answer any questions, but I think you have seen and debated much of this language many times this year and in the 15 years prior to this year. So I appreciate the diligence that y'all have shown in working on this. I also want to particularly thank Legislative Council, because Legislative Council has gone above and beyond the call of duty in preparing last-minute amendments and doing revisions of this, and my hat's off to her and the other members of the legislative staff that have spent so much time in this. I think I can safely say at this point in time that all of the parties involved are in agreement in moving forward with this. We do have the nursing homes, the people that are going to offer assisted living communities, and the small personal care homes are all in agreement that this bill is okay. They, there may be some things that we might want to do in the future to expand the scope of this, but at this point in time, this does not adversely affect the personal care homes and their business, but it does allow a new area to be created, a new long-term care facility to be created that would allow our elderly residents and family members, including, I think I'm getting there in that category very quickly, allow us to age in place without having to go to a nursing home prematurely. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. One other thing that I do want to mention to you, we do have an amendment. This is a friendly amendment that has been brought to us just in the last day by Department of Community Health that helps to enable them to better administer the program. I think all parties, again, have had a chance to look at this amendment, and we do not have any objection that I'm aware of, and I would urge the adoption of the amendment and then a favorable recommendation for Senate Bill 178. With that, I'll be happy to yield to questions.
Questions for the Senator? Okay. Representative Watson.
In substance, is this significantly different, or are there the details of comparing and contrasting the House bill versus the Senate bill?
I think House Bill 405 in its last revision as it appeared before you is substantially the same. This amendment was not in House Bill 405. I think there may have been another minor technical change that took place on the floor of the Senate that was not included in House Bill 405, but substantially the same language.
Just to follow up, are we going to have the parties speak again, or are we going?
Well, we can let them.
I mean, I'm not asking. If everyone's in agreement, then I mean, it sounds like they are. So if we need to make a motion at the appropriate time.
Okay. I think one of the questions that might be in some people's minds and would be about the assisted living, the personal care homes, and the section that concerned our House member that presented the bill. We have made sure that we don't mess with them, and it's on page 10. There's some other things put in, but they were concerned about the waivers that they could get, and it's on line 312 to 316, which shows that they can continue to get waivers in the same manner as they have been getting waivers.
Madam Chairman, you're absolutely correct that the waiver language is protected in this version of Senate Bill 178, and I think there may be people that represent personal care homes that would be willing to speak in favor of this if you desire to call on them.
Okay. Representative Jurgensen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could you, we've got two different sections of code listed in the amendment. Could you just specifically address that and where that ties in?
Yes, sir. I'll be happy to.
And the reason for the amendment.
I'll be happy to. The first section where it changes from annually to biannually just allows the timing of these licenses to coincide with our certified nurse aides that we currently have a license or not certification programs for. So it's just something that the department has asked for to enable them to better administer it without having to have an annual program. And I don't think there's any problem with doing it biennially, and it was a request of the Department of Community Health. The other part of basically changes, and there is a representative from the Department of Community Health if you'd like to follow up on this, the remedies for residents of personal care homes, the previous in the existing Senate Bill 178, that actually went to nursing home areas, and the nursing home, the rights of residents in nursing homes, because of the more advanced nature of some of the medical procedures that they were allowed to do, it was felt like that was not the appropriate place to make those remedies available, that the remedies that are available under the personal care homes would be more appropriate, and so that's why that change was made.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions from the committee? Okay, we do have people that want to speak to the bill.
Okay.
Okay. Mary Jenkins.
Hi, my name is Mary Campbell Jenkins. I'm the Vice President of the Arbor Company, which operates 6 assisted living communities in the state of Georgia. I've been here before. I know a lot of us have been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm really just here to ask for your support for this bill, which we believe will enhance the quality of care through the medication aid program of the residents that we care for, and will provide Georgia seniors much-deserved freedom of choice when they come to that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. If anyone, okay, Kathy Floyd.
I'll just say, AARP, we're very excited and thank you for getting this bill to this point, and we fully support it. Thank you.
Catherine Fowler.
just saying, the Georgia Council on Aging and Coalition of Advocates for Georgia's Elderly has been working on it for 16 years, and we know that the House and the Senate have done heavy lifting on this bill this year. Thank you very much. We hope you will support it.
Okay, thank you. Dave Pratt?
Madam Chair, honorable members of the committee, I'll be as brief as possible. I thank you for the opportunity to share some remarks. My name is Dave Pratt with the Assisted Living Federation of America. Along with my colleagues, represent the Federation, Callie Michael, Fran Mangieri. We strongly support this legislation, and we thank you for considering it. We thank the chairman, Johnny Grant, for bringing this before you. We thank Chuck Martin for his vision from last year and bringing this measure forward. We thank the gentle lady from Lincoln for bringing this measure before the House. There are a lot of organizations we want to thank. To be respectful of your time, I will not, but I would like to mention just one organization, the Healthcare Association, the Georgia Healthcare Association, led by John Howell and represented by here at the House by Jason Brose. They've been nothing but respectful. They've been gentlemanly, seriously, they've been gentlemanly, and they've been very, very cordial. Indulge me, in my experience as a former artillery officer, the generals get the credit, John Howell. A lot of times the soldiers are overlooked. Jason Brose, that guy is a class act, and I appreciate your letting me let you know that publicly. Thank you.
Is he running for public office?
He
Jason,
is, and I'm the kingmaker.
Or are you whip?
Seriously, Madam Chair, honorable ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and please favorably consider it.
Thank you. Steve Neff?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Steve Neff. I represent, as referenced before, most of the smaller of the personal care home models. Not all, but most. I represent the Assisted Living Association of Georgia and the Georgia Association of Community Care Providers. I have spoke with you all regarding, most of you regarding this bill. We do support it in its and the amendment as it moves forward. I believe, as John Howard mentioned, might be in the Senate committee, I don't believe we all got exactly what we wanted out of it, but that's a good compromise, and we're happy to be with you today and hope to be before you again to address some of the other issues, maybe regarding some of the under 25s moving forward, under 25 beds. But we thank you and ask your favorable consideration of this good piece of legislation that's a good compromise between all the groups.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Okay, Diane O'Donnell? No.
with this new amendment from DCH. And as a practicing elder law attorney, I see my clients daily who wrestle with the question of where to live. And so thank you for more consumer choices.
Representative Clark, do you want to advocate for the bill? Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. We'll go back to
thank you, Madam Chair. The yearly checkup that they have to have by someone, a healthcare professional who is unaffiliated with a personal care home, that's something in addition that we're requiring. Is that correct? Is that
where are you?
Lines 168 through 170 on page 5.
Okay.
Is that anything more than just like a yearly physical?
I didn't. Okay,
Madam Chairman,
Representative.
I was actually going to indirectly refer to that language. Tom Balworth, Aging Services of Georgia, we too support the bill in its current form and appreciate that. And I was going to point out in response to Representative Watson's question, as you had pointed out, Section 13 had been revised, and that is actually the companion language to that I would like to thank Madam Chairman and Senator Grant and Representative Martin for facilitating discussion between all powers. That's actually the actual waiver language that allows personal care homes to continue to serve people to age in place if they get a waiver, and that particular provision is one of the safeguards where there will be an assessment. And that was some of the language that was in Representative Martin's bill that was passed out of committee last year in this committee that ran out of time. So it's just one of the safeguards that the department will have to look at in allowing that waiver. So, and we do support the bill. And my only other question was whether it was Mr. Brose or Mr. Pratt who was running for office, Madam Chair.
Let's see. I think that that Mr. Brose has somebody to stand in his place, and that would be Sarah Ralston. Ms. Ralston? Come up. Ms. Ralston is an intern, but she's done the yeoman's work and helped with this bill. And I think that one of the things that you need to learn as an intern is being able to present to the committee your comments on the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sarah Alston, Georgia Healthcare Association. We are in full support of this bill and have worked with many others, to come together on this compromise. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Ms. Ralston? If not, thank you very much. Pass the test.
I want to thank the chair, thank the senator, and Representative Purcell Buchanan, and also somebody that gets overlooked that Senator Grant mentioned, Betsy. She did a lot of work on this on late nights, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
That's right. And last but not least, Sheila Hubberstone. And before we take the vote, I want to thank everybody that worked on it. I know that at times it was very, there was a lot of contention, and it was, like I say, everybody didn't get what they want. But I appreciate the fact, because I think one of the last things I said when the bill passed out last year was the people of Georgia, the elderly of Georgia, had waited for this bill long enough, and that we would get a bill. And I think we've gotten a good bill. So I will add my thanks to all the groups that worked together. And hopefully now you can go out and sing Kumbaya together and have a happier time in the hall. Okay, let's do the amendment first. So it is Amendment AM 370105. Do I hear a motion? Got a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? No hearing, no discussion. Everyone in favor of the amendment AM 370105 say aye. Okay, then that passes. Now, we have Senate Bill 178. Do I hear a motion on the as amended? Have got a motion and a second. Sorry. Representative Watson. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 178 as amended? Okay, hearing none. Everyone in favor of Senate Bill 178 as amended, say aye. Aye. Everyone opposed, no. The ayes have it. It's time for everybody to go, yes! The bill is passed. We are adjourned.